It's been a minute, and it's not late. It's only 7. The winter time is like fucking me up. But I'm about to do my makeup to go to McDonald's by myself at night to get McMuffins because the McDonald's near me has breakfast all day. All day. I thought that they all were like that because there was like the huge thing when that started happening. It was like all day breakfast, and then I guess some of them just like stopped without like telling us. But mine didn't because they're the best McDonald's ever. And I woke up at 5 today, 5 p.m. And if that doesn't just sort of explain to you guys like where I am mentally, then I don't know what will. Or maybe the fact that I'm, doing my makeup for no reason other than to go to McDonald's to go get McMuffins. And I lost my concealer. Holy shit. I don't actually have anything that I really want to talk about.
Oh, you just wait. It gets personal.
The new year is happening, I guess. Like, that's something that's different and changed. And I spent the new year wasted. Which I feel like everyone sort of did that because, I mean, it's New Year's. Everybody does that. But 2020, we kind of just needed to drown our sorrows. I've been obsessing over Dave Navarro lately. I think that I have a problem because I will just obsess over random celebrities for like a couple weeks and then just not think about them anymore. Like, I had that whole thing with Jeff Wittick, I had the whole thing with Kristen Stewart, and now I had a thing with Robert Pattinson, and now it's Dave Navarro. And I don't know how long it's gonna last, but I'm really into him right now. I also have like a new like lighting set up. I have 2 light situations. My mirror is like a vanity light thing, and then I got a ring light for $10, which is kind of cute, and like I got foundation in my hair. But last night I stayed up until 5 a.m. of course, and woke up at 5 p.m. even though I had school today. I went to all my classes though, but I just turned them on and then fell back asleep. And I'm kind of getting scared that I'm not gonna graduate because of that. I got accepted into college though, but you can't go to college unless you graduate high school. It's hard being a senior this year because there's literally nothing to look forward to, and I just have no motivation, and everyone's mental health sucks right now. Or maybe just mine, but my mental health sucks. Literally sucks. I've canceled 3 therapy appointments. I haven't been to therapy in a minute, since like November or some shit, which isn't good because my mental health just continues to get worse and worse and worse. I went to the hospital because of it, and this is not me, being like, haha, quirky mental health. I'm trying to like relate to y'all. Unless y'all don't relate to this, then that sucks, because I passed out. And I thought if I would have known that I passed out because it was mental health, I would not have went to the hospital, because that's how I am. I'm like, don't lock me up, I'm scared. So I went to the hospital because I thought it was like a physical thing. I thought that I have a heart condition. I thought it was that. I was like, oh my god, and my heart, I need help. But I show up, and then the lady like was being like annoying. I mean, I understand she was like trying to help me, but she was also just like, girl, like, get off my goddamn case. She was like, who takes care of you? Like, why don't you take care of your mental health? She's like, you're struggling, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, all right, Dr. Phil, like, I didn't ask you to do that. Like, don't do that. She's like, do you want to talk to a therapist here? I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like, because y'all are gonna lock me up and I'm gonna be in here and everyone is gonna be really mad at me. I literally was giving her such an attitude, and she wanted to give me like a benzo. And if you know me, I don't do drugs. I don't like that whole thing. I don't even smoke weed, like nothing like that. And she tried to give me a benzo, which, I mean, sure, like I'm sure it would have helped some people, but I was like, so she was like, I can give you like a benzodiaz, whatever it is. And I was like, at that moment I looked at her, I was like, can I go? I was like, can I get the check please? She was like, you really need to like take care of yourself, blah blah blah. I'm like, girl, you was just trying to drug me up. What do you mean take care of myself? But anyways, moral of that story is that my doctor called me like a month later and was like, my like regular doctor, it was like, hey, we noticed you haven't been going to therapy and that you went to the hospital. What's going on? Like, please call us. We need to like check up on you or whatever. And so I waited a week to call them because I wasn't going to call them because I didn't want to. Because like I don't want anybody in my business like that. They called me and I made sure to get the appointment with the nurse practitioner because my regular doctor would like see right through all my bullshit. So I got the nurse practitioner who was talking to me and he was like, yeah, they said here that it was anxiety. And I was like, no, I think I was like dehydrated or like my heart was acting funny, blah, 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 blah. Which I probably just should have been honest with him because he probably would have just been like, okay, well, if you're feeling better, like, that's fine, we'll drop it, like, just go to therapy. But instead, I just denied the whole mental health thing. It was like, yeah, it's my heart, like, my heart's really freaking me out, and guess what? He's putting me on a 30-day heart monitor. My birthday is, like, next week. I'm getting put on a 30-day heart monitor because I didn't want to be honest about my mental health. That's just, that's sad. That's just my life. Literally, my life is wearing heart monitors because you don't want people to worry about you. Ooh. He was like, are you still on your antidepressants? And I was like, kinda. I take them very sporadically. They're literally sitting in my car, like, middle console. My car is just a whole nother story. You know how they talk about like having depression rooms? I have a depression car. Like, none of my friends want to get in my car because it's bad. There's like barbecue sauce packets, there's like old molding Dunkin' cups, there's like Target bags full of like who knows what. So like I don't blame them for not wanting to go in there, but I just won't do anything about it. I literally went to Target with Alexis yesterday and she was like, you should get an air freshener for your car, like it kind of smells a little funky in there. And I was like, no, I like it. I like the smell. You gotta earn that smell. I'm okay. I'm okay. I feel like a reason that my mental health is like I mean, it still is not great, but I'm getting there. I was just working constantly every single goddamn day, really long shifts around Christmas, but now I'm getting no hours because Christmas is over and that's the only time they need me, which I really enjoy the days off or whatever, but also like I'm kind of freaking out because like I don't have any money, which is also my fault because I spend all my money on food and shit and just dumb shit that I don't need because I'm manic sometimes. The whole thing about that, like mania and shit, is I joke about it. I joke about my mental health just in general because it like I don't want to ever take it way too serious because then I feel like it makes people uncomfortable. So I try to joke about it, make people feel like less alone or whatever, because like at the end of the day, I know I'm gonna be fine. Like I don't want to say I'm never, but like I can handle it. I'm fine. But I know there's people that's going, I'm not the only fucking person with like mental health issues, but so I joke about it because like I want people to like feel like it's not like it's something that like you can live with, I guess. I don't know. I've joked about my mental health so much that it's like people have been very comfortable with joking about my mental health, which makes me a little uncomfortable. I guess it's like one of those situations where it's like I'm the same way with my family. Like I can joke about my parents being fucking crackheads and like trying to kill themselves in front of me and like cheating on you. Like I can joke about the fact that I lived in a crack house. But when someone else does it, I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, I'm like that with my mental health too, because people like feel very comfortable sending me videos of like TikToks of girls like having manic episodes or like talking about how depressed they are or how anxious they are and blah blah, and they'll send it to me and be like, haha, Brooke, this reminds me of you. And I'm like, the fuck, dog? Like, ow, like that's what you know me for? Like that sucks. I joke about it. It's like how I cope with stuff because I've always been like that, like with my family. Like there's never been a situation that I couldn't joke about because it just makes you feel better. But don't joke about someone else's situation Because, I mean, like, I guess, yeah, I let that, like, wall down when I joke about it. I sort of make it seem like, oh, this is an okay thing to joke about, which I feel like within yourself, try to find humor in any situation. But when someone is sending you shit, like, hey, this reminds me of you, ha ha ha, this girl's so depressed, like, blah, 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 reminds me of you, haha, it kind of feels like you're making fun of me. So don't do that. I mean, maybe it was, like, good intentions or whatever. And, like, I'm sure there's gonna be people, like, if you can joke about it, I can joke about it. But, like, no, you can't. Like, don't do that. So another reason that I think my mental health has been struggling around this time is because Thanksgiving, Christmas just happened, and, like, I don't have a family. Like, I don't have parents, really, or, like, immediate family. And no matter how long goes by where you're like, oh, I'm fine, this is fine, I'm over it, like, haha, what a ride that was. Like, no matter how long it's been since, like, trauma with your family has happened, there's still those times when you're like, aw, wish I had family. And, like, the holidays are like that. And also, like, I'm graduating this year, and the thought that my immediate family aren't gonna be at my graduation kind of sucks a little bit. And I don't know if I should invite them. I don't know if I should, like, invite them, because I don't want them thinking, like, oh, she didn't invite us, like, blah, blah, like, what a bitch, like, anything like that. But also, I don't want to invite them and then not show up and then maybe hurt by that. So I'm trying to balance out that stuff. And, like, my therapist keeps saying, well, you have time to think about it. You have time to think about it. But, like, I kind of don't have time to think about it, because, like, we're graduating in, like 4 months, like, 5 months. And I'm like, things like that take a long time to think about. Because also, I don't want them going and trying to take credit for, like, the shit that I've done, or the shit that, like, the people that I live with now have done, like my grandma and everything. Like, don't take credit for that. You do that. So, like, let me know what you think, if I should invite them or not. Okay, my parents, I don't know if I can talk, like, when I was younger, I used to just sort of air out my laundry about it and, like, be very open. And, like, that's another thing about, I'm sorry, I'm so all over the place with this. That's another thing about, like, people joking about it and me feeling kind of uncomfortable about it, is because when I was younger, I was very, very open about the situation. It was because I was scared, you know? I was terrified. I didn't know what was going on. I was trying to, like, find someone who has been through something like I have, so I could feel less alone. So I'd talk about the shit that happened with my family. And now, when you get older, you sort of understand that's still a human being. Like, even if they've done you kind of dirty, kind of wrong, that's still a human being. And yeah, like, it's my business because I was involved, but that's also another person's life who's going through things, and it happened, like, a long time ago. Even though trauma doesn't go away, like, people do change, and you don't have to forgive them or anything like that, but people do change, and you need to recognize that. And I don't want to keep painting my parents as a certain way to the public for people to be like, oh, that's just how they are. It's like, okay, that could be how they are, but I wouldn't know because I haven't been around. That's how they were, and I don't want to always paint it like that. Does any of this make sense? Try to, like, dance around it or whatever happened. When I think about it now, like, I'm so much older, and they're obviously changed. Like, the situation is so far removed, that even though it still hurts, and, like, you still, like, want to heal from it and everything, and, like, healing is laughing about it, healing is joking about it, at the end of the day, that's still a human being, and, like, you don't need to be putting their business out to them. I wouldn't want people to judge me for the way that I was a few years ago, and, like, try to paint me as that to the world. So I've sort of stopped doing that, and I think that's why it hurts my feelings so much when, like, my friends or something will make jokes about my parents, because even though I'm really not comfortable with them, I don't see them really being in my life in my future, because they really haven't been the last 5 years. I don't see that really changing. But I know that the path that they have been on and may currently be on is not one that has longevity. I'm afraid that one day, or someday soon, they're gonna die thinking that I hated them. And that would break my heart, because, like, they've done some shit to me. They have done some shit. But at the same time, like, I know my heart, and I know that if they died thinking that I hated them, it just hurt me worse. I was watching this, I don't remember what the movie was. It was like this quote, this girl said, "My mom made my life a living hell, and I suffered constantly from it, and then she died, and I suffer more." And it's like, yeah, like, you don't want to have that guilt, even though in the actual situation, you could have done nothing wrong. You could have completely been the victim. But how they say, you don't turn the other cheek, like, blah, blah, blah. I understand that that is very, very, very hard, and I struggle with it. I still hold a lot of resentment and grudges, and, like, people are like, oh, you have a chip on your shoulder. Like, I've been told that the last 5 years. I don't have a chip on my shoulders. I have a fucking goddamn mountain. Like, when it comes to my family, I will never trust them. I will never want to be close with them. I will never, like, break down that wall enough to have that emotional connection with them ever. I will never, I don't think I'll ever be close with my family ever again. But, you know, you still want to acknowledge that that's your parents, and you want to still understand them on a human level. Like, because they were, I wouldn't say they were young, they were struggling. Like, everyone in my family has a little mental health issues at times, and when you're young and you're going through things, all you want to do is find the answer, and you go, oh, it's because they were doing this, and because they were hanging out with these people, and blah, 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 blah. But it's always going to be a lot deeper than that, and I know deep down that even if they don't want to admit it, they probably definitely hold a lot of regret for the things that they have done to me and my sister and my family. And I just don't think that I need to make that worse. You know, whatever happens, happens. They have to live with the consequences of the fact that they don't have their daughter in their lives. And I have to deal with the fact that I don't have a parent I can go to, and I don't have that, like, protective father or that mother I can turn to. I don't have that. And I've done pretty fine without that. I've adapted, obviously, but it doesn't take away the fact that every kid that has addict parents, they still want to be a normal kid. They still want to have that connection with their parents, and it's just something that I'll never have, and I've come to terms with that to some sort of point. But deep down, it still fucking hurts when it's Christmas time and, like, you don't see your dad. Like, that shit hurts. That shit hurts. I guess my biggest thing with my family is the reason I'll never let my guard down with them is the fact that I was 14 when I left them, which is young, but it's like, you know, you can sort of make your own choices when you're not, like, you know, when you have normal parents, you probably can't. But I decided to leave. It wasn't like, oh, the state came and got me or anything like that. I decided to leave on my own. When they were going through that mind frame of, like, they were so distorted and everything was going on, they put a lot of blame on me and seemed like I was abandoning them, and it made me feel guilty. But in reality, they abandoned me a long time before that. And I don't know if they'll ever understand that or ever understand the pain they caused me, because they're all about, they want to move past it, and why are you still holding on to this, and you need to let go of this chip on your shoulder. But when you're 14, you go through shit like that, dude. Like, that fucks you up. That stays around. And I feel like it's really shaped me as a person, and, you know, it's really educated me on myself and mental health and people's brains. But it still sucks, dude, and, like, I still react to things strongly, and I still have my guard up when it comes to them, and I don't think that that's ever going to change. That is never going to change. I know that I'm not the only person that has ever had a messed up family, and that is why I sort of want to talk about it and, like, be open with it. And I feel like a big problem with why people kill themselves, why people turn to drugs and stuff like that, is because there isn't, like, a welcoming, I don't know, there's such a stigma around talking about mental health, because it's always looked as like, oh, you're searching for attention. It's like, I am, because I need help. Like, that's, searching for attention is not a bad thing. That's how you get help, you know? And when I joke about stuff, I feel like it sort of breaks down the asking for attention thing, and it's more of like, oh, we can laugh at this. Oh, it's fine. because I don't need help. Like, I'm fine. It's been years since that shit has happened to me. But a big thing with mental health is the fact that there's not like an open line of communication about it without there being a very big judgment towards it. And I think I still struggle with that aspect a lot, because when you think about like drugs and stuff, it is so common for people to go to rehab and try to do better for themselves. It's not so common for, and also like when someone goes to rehab, you sort of see the preview of that. You see the leading up to that of like, oh, they're getting on drugs, oh, they're starting to get bad, to where when they go to rehab, you're like, thank God, like finally something's changed. But with mental health, it's so lonely. It's such like no one can know that you are going through something so horrible to where you wake up and just want to die every single day. It's so lonely and quiet, and no one can have a clue until you do ask to go to the mental hospital, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, she's bad. Like, it's the exact opposite of the drug thing. The drug thing, it's like they go to get help, and it's like, oh my God, like finally, like they're finally getting help. But then when it's a mental health thing, you go to the hospital, it's like, oh my God, this came out of nowhere, like she's really bad, she's really fucked up. It's like, I just don't like the way that they're looked at differently. It should be sort of on the same plane. Oh, here it is. Here's my, oh my goodness. It should be on the same plane of like, help is help and help is good. And no matter what you're going through, if you decide that you need to take those steps to get help, I feel like it should not be like judged in any aspect. Let me go do my wings off camera. Sorry. I put on a hat and it made me a million times cuter. When I started this video, I did not think I was going to be talking about this stuff, but I guess that's what happens when you don't see a therapist since November. Shit just sort of comes out. And yeah, no, I just rewatched all that stuff that I was saying, and I don't think I'm going to be editing this a lot, but I love how I talk about how important it is to get help and stuff, and then I talk about how I don't. And I think that's very real and very important. Like, when you are going through things, like, it's so much easier to give advice than to take your own, and I'm very guilty of that. But my 2020 resolution is to continuously work on traumas, and I know that it just seems sort of like a dead end, at least for me, a lot of the times, because it's like, god damn, like I've been working on these same traumas for 5 years and I'm still struggling. It doesn't go away, and trauma is a tough cookie. I can sit here and talk about how like I understand the situation and I don't blame my parents or anything like that, but it still hurts, and like I can understand the situation, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't also affect me, you know? And like, so you expect to come out of getting help and getting therapy and talking about your traumas to just never think about it, and to be so far removed from it, and to move past it or anything like that. But the thing about trauma is it never goes away. It is always going to affect you, because it's a big thing that happened in your life. It's going to walk around with you. It shaped you as a person. And although it doesn't leave, that doesn't mean that you can't live a happy, normal life and take good things from it, I guess. Like, I know that when I don't want kids, because another thing about having addict parents is like, I'm so afraid to pass on those genes. I'm so afraid that my family has horrible mental health, horrible drug addiction, runs in our blood, dude. And I don't want to have kids because I don't want to pass on those genes or become a victim of the mindset that my parents were in and just not be good moms. So, but if I did have kids, I know that I would try my best to be a lot better than they were. And that's not me trying to hate on them or anything like that. It's just, you do learn from shit, and as long as you're mindful, and I've talked about it in other videos, when I'm going through things, I'm very mindful about it. Like, I just don't ever go with the flow. Like, I know when I'm struggling, and I'm very aware of it. Like, I know when I'm slipping. I know when I'm making wrong decisions. I know the consequences of the actions that I'm taking, even though they're not always good choices, you know, to not take your medication, to not go to therapy. Like, it's not a good thing. I'm aware of it, and I'm aware that it's bad, and I'm aware that I eventually am going to have to take those steps to take care of myself, I guess. And I'd never try to look at things like, whatever, I just give up. Like, no, you can slip in mental health, you can slip with anything like that. But never be in the mindset that you're so far gone that you can't change. And that's why I don't really want to paint my parents as like horrible people and like these crazy drug addicts that blah 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 blah, like fuck them, like everyone hate on them. I don't ever want to do that, because it puts them in a box that they could be sitting there like, well shit, everyone already thinks I'm a fucking drug addict, like I just might as well do it. And I don't want that. I want better for my family, even though I have so much hurt and hatred and resentment towards them and zero trust, and I don't think any of that will ever change. That doesn't mean I don't want them to get better. I want them to be so happy. I want them to get clean. I want them to be happy. And maybe I want them at my graduation. Who knows? But I'm sure I'll update you guys on that. But I'm gonna go get my McMuffins, and I hope this wasn't too personal for you guys. And I hope you took something from this. I'll see you later. I'll make sure to take my pills. Catch you on the flip.